Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking you straight inside a government handbook. It's really fascinating stuff.
It really is. We're looking at the official guide given to people who want to become French citizens.
That's the Livret du Citoyen.
Exactly. This edition is from February 2022, and look, it's way more than just a history pamphlet.
Right, it seems much more fundamental.
It is. It's basically the rulebook for what the French administration calls assimilation to the national community.
So our mission today is to unpack that. We're going into the core values, the non-negotiables, and the machinery of the French Republic as they define it themselves.
Precisely. We'll cover what they actually require: language, knowledge, but also these core principles, the political setup, and key historical moments.
Yeah, if you've ever wondered what a country explicitly asks of its people, not just legally, but almost behaviorally, this is where we find out. Okay, so let's unpack this assimilation idea. When someone applies for citizenship, what are the absolute minimums they're looking for?
Well, it seems less about just knowing dates and names.
And more about a kind of commitment.
Exactly. The livret spells out three main things. First, you've got to handle the French language, specifically level B1, oral and written, so functional.
Okay, language makes sense. What else?
Second, enough knowledge of French history, culture, society, standard stuff maybe.
But the third point sounds crucial.
It really is. Adherence to the principles and values of the Republic. That's the big one.
Adherence. How do you even measure that? You can test history, but values.
That's the core of it. They evaluate this assimilation during an official interview, and it's not just theory.
So how do they gauge it?
The document says they assess your mise en œuvre dans tous les moments de la vie quotidienne. Basically, how you put these values into action every day.
In your daily life. Wow.
Yeah, au sein de la famille ou de la société. So in your family life and in public, it's about conduct.
That's quite something. It's almost like a behavioral contract for citizenship.
It really frames it that way, and they give a very powerful example to, drive the point home.
What's the example?
The booklet states very clearly that the administration can refuse French nationality.
Even if you meet other criteria, like being married to a French person.
Yes, exactly. Even if married to a French national, you can be refused if you don't respect gender equality. L'égalité entre les femmes et les hommes.
Okay, that's huge. That specific example tells you a lot.
It really does. It shows the state isn't just concerned with, say, public order, but with these fundamental social norms.
And they're willing to deny citizenship based on adherence to that specific value in practice.
Precisely. It signals that this value is absolutely essential, non-negotiable for being part of the national community. It sets a very high bar.
That strong emphasis on equality is a perfect lead-in to the famous motto: liberté, égalité, fraternité. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Let's start with liberté.
Okay, liberty, we know it covers the basics. Freedom of thought, belief, expression, assembly.
But freedom of expression always has limits, right? Where does the Republic draw the line, according to this guide?
Yes, the livret confirms it's fundamental, but definitely not absolute. There are defined legal limits.
Designed to protect others, I assume.
And maintain public order, yes. The document lists specific things you cannot do.
Like what? What's explicitly forbidden?
It mentions circulating injures, insults, or abuse, defamation, and provocation to hatred or violence. Standard enough, perhaps?
But there's more.
Yes, and this is significant. It also forbids the defense of crimes against humanity, apologie de crimes contre l'humanité.
Wow, okay. That's a very serious line to draw.
It absolutely is. It shows liberty is protected, but not when it attacks the very core values the state is built on.
Okay, moving to égalité, equality. The principle is clear. Same rights, same duties for everyone.
Regardless of sex, origin, religion, opinions, sexual orientation, all the categories.
How does this play out in the real world? The guide gives examples.
It does, particularly focusing on anti-discrimination in employment.
So what must candidates understand about that?
The key takeaway is that any decision by an employer hiring promotion must be based purely on professional reasons.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. The livret explicitly says an employer cannot discriminate based on origins, age, disability, sex, or religion. Treating someone unfairly for those reasons is discrimination. Full stop.
And the state enforces this.
That's the message. The state is actively upholding this equality.
Right. Okay, finally, fraternité. Fraternity, often translated as solidarity.
Yeah, the guide defines it as the volonté de vivre ensemble, the will of French citizens to live together.
But how does that become concrete? How is it more than just a nice idea?
It's translated directly into the social safety net. The prime example given is the Social Security system.
Established after World War II.
Exactly, post-1945. It's funded by contributions from employers, employees, and general taxes.
So everyone pays in.
And that system provides support across life's challenges. That mutual support, guaranteed by the state, is fraternity in action. Now, if liberty, equality, fraternity are the foundation, then laïcité secularism is maybe the defining pillar of the French Republic's relationship with its people.
Right, this comes up a lot. It was established by that major law in 1905, wasn't it?
That's the one, the law of 1905, separating churches and the state.
So the core idea is, the state guarantees you can believe whatever you want or not believe.
Freedom of conscience, yes, that's guaranteed.
But it keeps religion and public affairs strictly separate. The state itself is neutral.
Exactly that. Neutrality is key. And this neutrality allows the state to manage public order by sometimes restricting how religion is expressed publicly.
And this is where it gets controversial, especially around schools.
That's often where the debate focuses, yes.
So let's get specific. There was a law in 2004 about schools. What did it actually say?
Right, the law of March 15th, 2004. It prohibits students in public primary and secondary schools, that's colleges and lycées, from wearing signs or outfits that ostensibly manifest religious affiliation.
Ostensibly manifest, meaning obviously visible religious symbols.
That's the interpretation. Conspicuous symbols are restricted in those specific school settings.
Okay, and what's the official reason given in the livrette for this? Why restrict them?
There are two main justifications provided. First, the school needs to be a neutral space.
Where all future citizens are educated together, regardless of belief.
Precisely. And second, it's presented as a way to protect minors.
Protect them from what?
From potential pressure, whether from family or their peers regarding religious expression. The idea is to guarantee genuine freedom of conscience for each student within the school walls.
So, state neutrality in schools is framed as protecting individual freedom and ensuring equality among students.
That's the official rationale presented to aspiring citizens.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. The guide stresses these values aren't just abstract ideas, they're a conquest of history.
Right, they didn't just appear out of nowhere.
So if you had to give a new citizen the absolute essential historical milestones for understanding modern France, what would they be, according to this guide?
Well, you absolutely have to start with the 1789 revolution. That's the bedrock.
Storming of the Bastille.
July 14th, which became the national holiday, yes. Also, the proclamation of the First Republic in 1792. And crucially, the 1789 Declaration of the Rights of Man and the Citizen. That's the philosophical foundation.
Then there was a period of instability, but the Republic eventually stuck.
Yes, the guide points to 1875, the stable installation of the Third Republic as key.
And you mentioned schools earlier. Jules Ferry.
Absolutely essential. Jules Ferry, in the 1880s, his laws made primary education public, free, and laïc secular.
That must have been transformative.
Hugely. That's when the Republic really began shaping citizens through education. Then, jumping ahead, the 20th century saw major social changes enshrined in law.
Like what?
The guide mentions the legalization of abortion in 1975, Simone Weil's law, and the abolition of the death penalty in 1981. Both seen as key moments in refining rights.
Okay, so those are the events. What about symbols? What visual cues must a new citizen recognize?
There are three core ones mentioned. The tricolor flag, blue, white, red.
Obvious one.
La Marseillaise, the national anthem, and Marianne.
The woman in the cap.
Yes, the allegorical figure of the Republic. You find her bust in every town hall, every mairie. She's the symbol of the Republic's ideals.
Got it. Now, let's talk structure. How does the current system, the Fifth Republic from 1958, ensure the rule of law, the état de droit?
The key is the separation of powers, designed so no single branch gets too dominant.
Executive, legislative, judicial.
That's right. You have the executive, the president and the government, led by the prime minister.
Okay.
Then the legislative, that's parliament, with two houses, the National Assembly and the Senate. They make the laws.
And judicial.
The judges, the judicial authority, they ensure laws are applied fairly and, importantly, that this separation of powers is respected.
And what about government closer to home? France seems quite centralized, but local government matters too.
It's actually highly decentralized in many ways. You have the commune, the basic unit, run by the mayor.
And the mayor has specific powers.
A very important role. They handle civil status records, births, marriages, deaths, acting as the state's local representative for these vital things.
Then you have bigger divisions.
Yes, departments which manage things like social assistance and the middle school, colleges, and then regions handling bigger infrastructure like high schools, lycées, and regional transport.
So different layers of responsibility.
Exactly. But the mayor is often the most direct link people have with the state.
Okay, so citizens have rights stemming from the revolution, delivered via this structure.
Yeah.
What about the duties? What's required of the citizen?
Well, rights include voting universal suffrage for those 18 and over and equal access to public jobs based on merit.
And the duties?
The absolute foundation is respecting the law. The guide states the principle. Non est censé ignorer la loi. Nobody is presumed to be ignorant of the law. You have to know and follow it.
Ignorance isn't an excuse.
Pretty much. Plus, citizens must contribute financially through taxes for public services, and there are national defense obligations, like registering for the census at age 16.
One thing I noticed and appreciate is that the livret explicitly celebrates the contribution of immigrants and naturalized citizens.
Yes, that's an important inclusion. It emphasizes that the republic isn't static, it's enriched by newcomers.
Does it name names?
It does. It highlights people like Marie Curie, the scientist originally from Poland.
Nobel Prizes.
2 of them. And Josephine Baker, the American-born entertainer and resistance hero. Also artists like Marc Chagall, Romain Gary, Georges Moustaki.
So it's directly acknowledging that French influence and culture has been shaped by people who chose to become French.
Exactly. It serves as a counter-narrative to any idea of a purely homogenous French identity. It's about integration and mutual enrichment.
Okay, and this idea of France's influence leaves to its place in the world. How does the guide position France globally?
It makes some clear statements. France is presented as the 6th largest global economy.
Okay, significant economic power.
And it highlights its permanent seat on the UN Security Council, plus its role as a founding member of the European Union.
Right, the EU started back in 1957 with France involved from day one.
Indeed.
So what does that EU membership mean practically for someone becoming a French citizen today?
It means they automatically become a European citizen too, which has been the case since 1992.
And that comes with specific rights.
Yes, significant ones: freedom to move, live, work, and study in any other EU member state much more easily.
Less bureaucracy.
Much less. And also, if you live in another EU country, you generally get the right to vote in local elections there. So citizenship extends beyond France's borders, in a way.
Huh.
Hashtag outro.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive into the Livret du Citoyen, it really shows French citizenship isn't just handed out. It's presented as a detailed contract.
It really is. It demands understanding history, understanding the structure, but more than that.
This active, demonstrated commitment to a specific set of shared values: equality, secularism, solidarity, enforced by law.
And what really struck me reading through it again is that constant emphasis on the candidate needing to show adhesion to these values, like gender equality, like solidarity in their actual daily life.
Not just knowing about them, but living them.
Exactly. And that brings up, I think, a really interesting question for everyone, not just potential new citizens.
It's that.
Well, when a nation sets up such an explicit, detailed test of values and daily conduct for those wanting to join, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do people who've been citizens their whole lives pause to think about whether they consistently meet those same standards?
You mean, do established citizens reflect on their own adherence to these core Republican requirements?
Precisely. That demand for self-assessment, maybe implicitly, is one of the most powerful things this document highlights, perhaps for all of us.
That's a really provocative thought to end on. Definitely something to consider. Thanks for diving deep with us today.